Let me share a number with you. For every 100 men promoted into their first management role, only 81 women make the same move. Not because women aren't performing, not because they don't want it, but because something is breaking down right at that first step before most people even realize it's happening. That gap doesn't correct itself further up the ladder, it compounds. So by the time we're looking at senior leadership, the pipeline is already depleted, and we wonder why there aren't more women at the top. This is what researchers call the broken rung. And today we're going to talk about exactly what it is, why it happens, and what you can actually do about it. Um, Welcome back to Women Leading Beyond Bias. I'm Sandra D'Souza, founder of Elect and author of From Bias to Equality. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet, I'd encourage you to start there. We covered the invisible rules of leadership, which sets the foundation for everything we discuss in this series. But today, we're getting specific. We're looking at the broken rung, the single biggest structural barrier that stops women from building momentum in their careers. Now, the term broken rung comes from McKinsey and Lehman's Women in the Workplace research. It's one of the largest studies of its kind. And what they found challenges the story most of us have been told. We've spent years talking about the glass ceiling, this invisible barrier near the top that stops women from reaching executive roles. And the glass ceiling is actually real, but the broken rung is earlier and arguably more damaging. The broken rung is that first step from individual contributor into management. And when women are significantly less likely to be promoted into that role than men with equivalent experience and performance, that's what makes this so consequential, is that leadership pipelines are built from the bottom up. If women aren't getting into that first management tier, they can't progress to the second or the third. The entire trajectory is affected by what happens at that very first rung. So here's what I notice again and again in the organizations I know about and I work with, and I've seen women who have given me that sort of feedback. There's often a woman or several women who are clearly ready for a management role. Their peers know it, their direct managers know it, but when the opportunity comes up, the conversation in the room goes something like, she's brilliant, but is she ready? Does she have enough visibility with the senior team? Has she had enough exposure to the wider business? And for a male counterpart with a similar profile, those questions often don't come up. There's an assumption of readiness, a projection of potential, what researchers call a double standard. Women are promoted on performance, men are promoted on potential. I spoke with a woman recently, 15 years of experience, consistently high performer, glowing reviews, who had watched 3 of her colleagues move into management while she was told to keep building her profile. She wasn't lacking experience, she was just lacking visibility with the right people in the right rooms. And nobody had ever told her that's what the game actually required. The broken rung isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a quiet accumulation of moments where a woman isn't quite seen the way she needs to be. And the opportunity goes to someone who is. So what can you actually do about this? Well, here are 3 things that matter. 1, make your readiness visible. Don't assume it's obvious. This is the hardest one for high performers to hear because it can feel like self-promotion. But there's a difference between bragging and strategic visibility. If the people making decisions about your career don't know what you're delivering, what problems you're solving, and what impact you're having, they genuinely cannot advocate for you. You have to create the conditions for people to see your readiness. That means sharing your wins, connecting your work to business outcomes, and having conversations about your ambitions, not waiting for someone to notice. 2, find a sponsor, not just a mentor. Mentors give you advice. Sponsors use their political capital to advocate for you when you're not in the room. So research consistently shows that women who are over-mentored and under-sponsored get a lot of guidance, but not enough people actively putting their hand up and saying, she's the one for this role. Now think about who in your organization has influence over decisions and build genuine relationship with those people, not transactionally, but intentionally. Sponsors are often the difference between a woman who gets promoted and one who doesn't. 3. Challenge the narrative you're telling yourself about timing. One of the most common things I hear from women is, I'll go for it when I'm more ready, when I finish this project, when my kids are older, when I feel more confident. And meanwhile, the men around them are putting their hands up when they meet 60% of the criteria. The broken rung is partly structural, but it's also reinforced by the stories that we tell ourselves as women about when it's our turn. We don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. In the PRISM framework, today's episode speaks most directly to presence and relationships. Presence is about how you show up and how you're perceived, and the broken rung is fundamentally a visibility problem. If you're not present in the spaces where decisions get made, you're relying on others to carry your reputation for you. And relationships, specifically sponsorship, is what bridges the gap between being good at your job and being seen as ready for the next one. These two dimensions working together are what move women through that first rung into leadership. So here's your reflection for this week. Think about where you are right now in your career. Is there a role, a project, or an opportunity you've been waiting to go for because you don't feel quite ready? And ask yourself honestly, is that about readiness or is it about fear of being seen? Because the broken rung doesn't just break because of what organizations do, it also breaks because of what we hold ourselves back. And the first step to fixing it is deciding that your ambition is worth taking up the space. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about understanding the environment that you're in and learning how to navigate it. That's how we move from bias to quality and how more women step into leadership. On a side note, I'm wearing Elect Rosette. This is a symbol of equality and inclusive leadership. It is to be worn as a reflection of how you lead every day. You can check it out on electfashion.com. I'm Sandra D'Souza. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in episode 3.